Thank you. So we will call to order the regular meeting, Ojai Planning Commission for Wednesday, April 16th at 6. And I believe Ida is out there. Can we get a roll call, Ida?
Yes. Chair Trent?
Yes.
Vice Chair Murphy?
Here.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
And absent, we have Commissioner Chesley and Commissioner Graham.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Judy, do you mind leading us in the pledge?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good stuff. All right. This portion of the meeting is for public communications, time set aside for members of the public to address Planning Commission items that are not on the agenda. And I don't have any cards. And Ida, is there anybody out there online?
No.
Nope. All right. Perfect. Okay, so we'll move on to consent items. Minutes of the regular meeting from our last meeting. Are there any adjustments or changes that you guys see?
I see no changes.
I see no changes.
I move we accept the minutes.
No discussion?
None.
Okay, none. You second?
Yes.
All right. Ida, can we get a roll call?
Trent?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Cool. Disclosure of site visits, ex parte contacts?
No.
None.
I have had none either. All right, moving on to the public hearing item for our lot line adjustment. And I believe we have staff report.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint. Pretty simple. It goes along with what I'm going to talk about here. Hold on.
Lucas, can I ask a question? It looked like Maura did the workup on this. Are you familiar with the maps that we're going to be looking at?
The maps that I have up here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So, good evening, commissioners. My name is Lucas Seibert, Community Development Director for the City of Ojai, for anybody that's watching in TV land and here tonight. The item before you tonight is a lot line adjustment located at 612 and 804 Country Club Drive. And I'm going to do the kind of the walkthrough a little bit different. I'm going to ask 3 questions and answer the questions, and I think that'll help this body as well as anybody that's out there that may have questions for a lot line adjustments. So for a lot line adjustment itself, I think it's important to ask the question of why is this before the Planning Commission? And I think it's identified within the staff report, but I'm going to simplify it here. Lot line adjustments through our code are required to go before the Planning Commission when there is more than 10% of an adjustment. And that adjustment can either be an increase or decrease in the lot area. So the reason why this is before you tonight is because that increase in area or decrease in area, how you see it, depending on the 2 lots, is more than 10%. In fact, it's 453%. So it's coming before this body for consideration. What is the proposal? So 612 and 804 are 2 different lots. One is a vacant lot, one is a developed lot. And 612 is parcel A, which is shown here. And I want to just reference this map. It is actually turned sideways. It's easier from the standpoint of being visible. You can still see the north arrow on the bottom left-hand corner. And then the vacant lot is that parcel which is identified as parcel 6, or really what is going to become parcel B as a part of this proposal. The 2 parcels themselves, the adjustment is going from, for parcel 1 or parcel A, it's being reduced from 12.12 acres down to 8.20 acres. Parcel 2, which is that smaller parcel, is turning into parcel B, and it's going to be slightly larger. It's adjusting from 1.11 acres to 5.03 acres, essentially granting a 3.92 acre adjustment to parcel 2 or parcel B, which is that parcel to the right. And as I had said before, 453% adjustment. So it's going from 1.11 to 5.03. The zoning for the site is RO1, which is consistent with the general plan site designation, which is lot or low density residential. In this zone, it's also important to note and to identify as a part of the findings whether or not the adjustment in these two lots are consistent with both the lot size as well as the lot dimensions. The lot size for the R01 is a minimum of 1 acre. This will certainly be exceeded as proposed. The dimensions themselves require a 100 by 100, so 100 width by 100 depth feet. Both of these lots have basically double that, and in most cases triple or quadruple or beyond that. So the minimum lot dimensions in terms of lot width and depth, as well as the lot size, are being met. Now with that, staff is recommending approval of this based on the findings that are identified within resolution and subject to those conditions that are within and before you tonight for consideration. So with that, if the commission has any questions of staff, I can certainly answer them.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
And then, are you the property owner?
I am at 716 Country Club Drive, so I don't know, I can't really quite see this if I'm getting straight up. Is 804 on the other side of my property? That's a vacant lot?
Yeah, so 804 is the vacant lot, yes.
Now, if somebody builds on the land that's the increased size land?
Hold on, can you hold on just one second?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you,
Yeah, we'll have a section where you can speak. Did you,
Yeah.
do you have a,
I can't see it from where I am.
oh, yeah, yeah.
I wanted to know
We
what
can bring it up.
thank
Do
you.
do you have to, there's a speaker card too you can fill out. I don't know. if
Yeah,
you
there's
want
the
to-
green speaker cards when you first enter.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
In the
They're
hallway?
they're in the hallway.
Right there?
Yeah. And then we'll have a minute for public comment. But we're just, yeah, so just questions for staff.
Right. I'm a little confused between numerical parcels and parcels A and B and lot 14. Is parcel 6, as it's designated here, part of parcel B?
Parcel 6 is that vacant lot. Yeah, so parcel 6 is going to become what's referred to as parcel B. So they're
Okay.
changing the designation from what is parcel 1, parcel 2 to a parcel A and a parcel B. B is the Sorry. B is also identified as parcel 6. So it's basically taking what was parcel 6 and turning it into a
Into a-
larger parcel, which
Like,
is now
it'll
parcel
almost
B.
be like a flag lot.
Yeah, it looks like a flag lot.
Yeah, it kind of has that. Yeah,
Is this all one owner doing this?
correct.
Yeah. It looks like, so they have this whole piece
Yeah.
of property.
Yeah, it's that long.
This is just a little tiny vacant lot.
Is there access, the
Yeah.
owner's
Well, it's
access?
the lot itself is over 200 feet in length. It feels like a small lot, but these are all fairly large lots.
Yeah.
The existing access to this long lot, is that going through people's, is that like just an access road that's going
No,
through
the-
other houses or other properties? It's,
No, your access is along the northern side for parcel A. And then for parcel B, which is that new parcel, there's already access
Yes.
along Country Club. So they're going to just, by removing that lot line and adjusting it to the north, now they'll have access to the east and to the south.
doesn't this look like a house on either
Well, thi-
side? I mean, it looks like it's going through.
Oh, so this is a house here, right there. This is a house here. So it's like a little neighborhood. It goes right through those two houses. But this is the access here, and this is the main house.
Okay, so this is, but
That's-
this is
Yeah, these are two separate houses.
separate houses.
Yeah, and that's
So there
the
is
main house.
like a little lane or
Yeah, it's a little driveway.
between two other
Mhm.
houses or properties.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what it looked like, but,
Lucas, may I ask you a
This was
question?
all probably one giant lot.
yeah. Yeah, in fact, it was probably called Lot 14,
It might have been lot 14.
That's the bottom.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
down on the bottom.
I have a question of Lucas, and that is,
Pull up the
there
map
are
again.
there are two access roads here, one of which is proposed. Has that been proposed and granted? Is that is that land coming across, or is that an easement coming across this access coming from Country Club Drive across parcel 6 at the top over to parcel B, so it has access to Country Club Drive? Is that?
Yeah, so there is I'm seeing an existing access easement that runs across, sorry, I'm having trouble seeing these APNs, but it looks like it's a 06 and an 113. Oh, it's further to the
Yeah,
north.
that's right, got it. It's 05 or 06, right? Okay, so it runs across that, and that goes to parcel A, and parcel B will actually be accessed by a proposed access coming off of Country Club Drive over to parcel B. Otherwise, parcel B would not have its own
Well, hold on.
address. Is that right?
The lot line is being removed. You can see that with these
Oh,
X's.
right.
I've made it kind of,
Yeah,
on the map that you've been provided, it isn't necessarily 100% clear, but that there's a yellow line
Yeah.
that then is in yellow lettering
Yep.
that says proposed lot line removal, yeah.
right. And where does the lot line go then? To
So
parcel?
lot line then shifts to it
To
runs,
the red line?
Yeah.
correct.
Beneath it, the
So it's
So the new lot, the,
this whole thing. It's all gonna be,
well, it's like,
Commissioner Bennett?
yes.
So here
Yes, Vanna,
the line,
yes.
the current property line.
All right,
This is where the new line is gonna be,
all right,
where the yellow is.
where the yellow is. Right
Yeah.
here,
all right,
So it's gonna be like a flag lot.
all
it'll
right,
be like an upside down
Yeah.
L-shaped lot.
right.
Yep.
and then to the right.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. And this was all, just so you know, this was all one
Yep.
property.
Oh, that one over here.
No,
too.
this whole, like, see where it's in yellow? This is
Yeah.
all one property.
I mean, this whole thing was attached to a property over here.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point.
I think it was 57 acres or something.
Wow,
Yeah, it was all attached at one point, yeah.
Yeah.
makes sense.
There was a few years ago, they did a certificate of compliance to identify how many existing lots were identified throughout the site, but not necessarily identified through the county. That was done probably 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago.
Okay, so, got it, all right. So right now, parcel B, which is 5.03 acres, and parcel 6, which is 1.11 acres, are going to be combined. And the lot line disappears at the top of, according to our book here, at the top going into parcel 4, and will be moved where?
It readjusts if you see that yellow line,
Oh, yeah, there's a very pale yellow line. Okay.
correct.
So it just gets moved up like a few feet.
It goes from like here
Yeah.
to here.
All right,
Yep.
Right.
okay.
I will admit, looking at the aerial, it takes a few minutes to kind of let your eyes set into
Yeah.
the colors that blend in with the rest of the surroundings.
Yeah,
So, I had a couple questions. Are you done?
yeah, I'm done, thanks.
On page 4 of 6, you did the density calculations per R0-1. The current number of units that are allowed on this property based on our current zoning would be 12 units for the 12-acre lot, which is the large lot, but this is before the split. And then 1 unit for the 1-acre lot, right? So total of 13 units potentially
With a subdivision.
with subdivision. Got it.
That's the maximum.
Right. With the proposed, it would be 8 units on the parcel A, and then it would be 5 units on parcel B as a maximum.
Correct.
So no increase in density at all.
No, this isn't meant to increase density, and this isn't, when you're doing a lot line adjustment, it's not looking to increase the number of lots that we have here. What they're doing is usually it's a chess match of
Yeah.
adjusting, lot area and a lot of times dimensions.
So
Sometimes the lots tend to be substandard, so you're bringing them to conformance. Here, both lots are already conforming. It's just a matter of doing kind of a land swap, essentially.
Yeah, and on the 1 acre vacant lot that sits there today, that certainly can be developed into a residential house, correct? Like a
Yes.
single-family home? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's setbacks and,
Yeah.
and lot coverage that applies to that, but
We'll be
yes.
back.
Yes, yeah, but this does not, this proposal does not outline that anything is gonna be built at this time. This is just a lot line adjustment, right?
Correct.
Okay, and the sites are designated as residential, so they're not designated as non-residential, correct?
Correct.
They're
They're
not
all
like
residential.
public land or open spaces?
Nope, these are our RO1.
Okay.
There's no proposal for rezones or general plan amendments here.
Right, okay. So these are both, private properties that are available. Well, one is vacant but is available for development. The other one has a house on it but is available for additional development if they'd like.
When you say additional development,
Well,
it's single family, so
No,
there's
I
already
get
a
it,
single
but
family
it
home on
does
it.
say that
Beyond-
it can support up to 12 units, but I think that's just based on acreage, right?
And really what it boils down to is it's based on subdivision.
Okay, got it. That
That's
makes
when we're
sense.
talking about
Okay.
units, we're talking about subdivision.
Yeah, because it says max per acre. Yeah, okay, I get it.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's in the RO zone, so,
RO1.
RO1,
So
sorry.
each of those, if they were to do some sort of a
Single
subdivision,
family.
each one would have to be a minimum of 1 acre in size and 100 by 100.
Got it.
And that doesn't include the roads and the utilities that would have to be serving each of those.
Right. And the current for the parcel A, there is an existing access off of Country Club Drive, but is there also one off of San Antonio? It looks like there may have been.
I'm not seeing one, at least for this parcel that I'm seeing here for San Antonio. But there is that property to the east that I
Yeah.
think does have access off of San Antonio.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet there's just
Yes.
probably a fence.
And if you go to the site and you go to San Antonio, you'll see there's basically a gate.
Yeah. Well, let me disclose, I've been on this property, but it was many years ago, before it was parceled up.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't have any other questions, none that I can think of at the moment. We can certainly open it up for public comment. Yeah. Sure, come on up. Do you have a card? Or you could just state your name once you get up to the podium. That's fine.
Yes, we want it.
Okay.
Yeah, just for records, it's good to have. I'll take it. Yeah, thank you so much. Perfect. Awesome. Carol, okay, cool, perfect.
Yes, I live at 716 Country Club Drive, immediately to the north of
Oh, the vacant lot.
804.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're one of the, got it.
And actually, there are a couple of things. I mean, you're talking about having a road, which I was always a little bit worried about, because public access on that, and especially if you're building more than one house, I prefer having a house built on that lot than having a public road that has access to multiple units on the larger field to the south. And which would require, to me, a safety concern, security concern. Is that just a road that allows people to park on, come off of Country Club Drive and just be there? I don't, there's a lot of security concern with that, because I'd be then on a corner, which I've never been. The other thing is that if you've ever actually seen in person that lot, it's part of the watershed that has a huge depression in it, where during the winter, if we have lots of water, it has a lake in it, and it runs off my property, and that property just, which would be the 612 property, comes into my property, and I've actually had to put berms up to decrease the water going down not to wash my land out, and it goes down into that crevice with several large oak trees over there on that 804 property. So putting a road in there, I'd like to know, who's responsible then for putting up any drainage, because as I said, that was all designated as watershed originally. And anyway, that's my my concern about developing that. And I had a feeling that was going to happen because I've talked actually to Scott Wilson, and he said, "Well, we have to change." And I'm going, "Yeah, but." So those are my concerns. I don't know how to address that before you say, "Oh, yes, that's possible." I think you ought to really look at the property and the lot to see what can be done. So.
I'm sorry, I'm trying
Thank you,
to
Carol.
understand from this map where your property is.
Oh,
Is it this piece up here?
She is.
Mine is just
not
to
on-
the north on the,
Oh, down there, okay.
So when she says there's a lake, see how this is kind of a mountainous, and then it rolls
Right.
into this little kind of.
Right, that's high and this
Yeah.
rolls down there. Because you have the same thing up here, that's why I was trying to
Right.
understand that.
Is this the lake?
Right in here.
Oh, right in here.
Yeah.
So she's
That's hers.
She's here. Oh, she's here.
And your concern is that the water runs off of your property currently, or not off of your property, to
well, through my
a
property,
lake,
let's
through
put it
your
that way.
property, to a lake that's down there. And your concern is this proposed 24-foot access road, is that? Oh, it isn't a
Well,
road, it would just
no
be the
road there,
entrance.
it's just
It'd
a
just be a
lot.
road, yeah. So I mean, it could snake around anywhere.
And Lucas, is that red line right there that's kind of next to the lot line adjustment, is that a creek? Is there a creek right that goes?
You're
through that
talking
property?
about the
On-
red line, it's directly to
On parcel
the
B?
right of that yellow line?
Yeah.
That looks like, I don't think that's actually a creek. I think that's a topo line,
Oh,
from what I can tell.
okay.
So this is a lot line adjustment hearing. It seems to me that if we're concerned about someone building on this
Well,
new property,
I mean, I don't, actually, if it's just a house, I don't have any concern about having a public road. It's where are you going to put that road? Is it up toward my property line because it's a little bit flatter there, but then it drops off?
This-
Or is it going to have so much easement away from my property line, so I'm not having people,
this
coming
would all
through
be
and
addressed,
developing it?
this would all be addressed when that is actually proposed to us.
Yeah, nobody's proposing to develop on it right now.
When they do want to develop
Uh-huh.
and put in a driveway and build a house and all of that, that's the time to,
Okay, well, I was just.
To worry
as I said,
about-
I got this and I'm thinking, okay, is there going to be a road in there?
Sure.
Look at the property. I think you ought to be looking directly at the property, not just a map to see,
Right.
just the topography.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit different than the flat surface, what you're seeing
Yeah,
here.
and, I mean, that vacant lot, fits within the zoning of a developable, or a lot that can be developed.
Sure, yeah,
But there has been no proposals to develop the lot as of now.
yeah.
But once we do get that, then obviously we can have those conversations to make sure that it's,
Yeah.
safety. And
Well,
then
originally, I
discussing where
think
roads go.
that he said that, they may, they sold off the main house, and then those people bought, and wanted to have a clearance to do a guest house further down, and then they were adjusting, the old guest house now gets it used to be a baseball field, and the upper A, I think it is, and then this is, the second one is the lot that's just beside my house, and then the L shape that goes down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they originally said, they were going to build one house, on each area, but I always know, how are you going to get there, you know, from Country Club Drive and that particular lot, and trying to find a road, you know, with stability, and who's putting in, you know, the stability, the drainage, whatever,
Yeah.
and how close to my property line am I having people running in and out, or is it going to be gated, you know, that kind of thing is, you know.
Yeah, and I
Well,
think.
we have to know what their plan is, if we
Yes.
don't know.
I think
and
once,
there
once
is-
someone decides to submit some plans, then we can have those types of conversations.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, that's
yeah.
okay. I just got this and I thought, okay, I need
Yeah,
to know.
no,
Yeah,
yeah.
no.
I mean, you're early in the game.
Okay, okay.
That's a
great.
good thing to be.
And you'll get a notice again if they bring something forward. So you'll be made aware if that does happen.
All right, that's good. I need to know.
Thank you, Carol. Okay. Discussion.
As a lot line proposal, I don't see anything wrong with it. When it comes to developing, I think we'll have to take another look at the topography, as Carol pointed out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
To me, it's very straightforward, and it's sort of step one. If there is a step two, we don't know. We don't know who the acquirer would be and what their purposes are.
Yeah, I mean, having us look at these lot line adjustments, I mean, always it's a concern to not create a greater number of residential developable parcels, and that is not what we're doing. So the developable parcel will be exactly the same as it is today.
Right.
It's just the land is gonna be kind of, you know, mixed up a little bit. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's, you know, it makes sense, I think, but.
So I would like to move approval of lot line adjustment,
I will second that.
LLA 25-001.
All right.
You were so convincing, I seconded it before you were done. I'm sorry.
Ida, can you do a roll call, please?
Trent,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. And we're all set. So again, Carol, when we hear that any sorts of news of developments and something comes to the city, obviously it'll come back to us, and that's a good time to express your.
And Carol, if you want, as you know, as the months go along, you can always check in and see if there's been any rumblings on applications being submitted as well. You've got Scott's number as well, so that's
That's
helpful.
probably better.
Has this land been put up for sale yet?
I have, well,
It's not,
it's not an
Can't-
adjusted lot line at this point,
Oh,
so
yeah.
no.
Well,
The answer is no.
that wouldn't be the first time somebody jumped the gun, assuming an approval.
Not in this case.
So, okay.
All right. Okay, let's see, moving on. What else do we got? That's our minutes. I think we have, let's see, future agenda. Oh, no, we have some discussion topics for our meeting.
Proposed topics to
Yes,
discuss at a
proposed
future joint
topics.
meeting with city council.
Yes.
those items got changed around in
Yeah.
order.
They
Is
did.
there something you'd like to talk to us about?
I would like
Lucas?
to make a statement, and maybe soapbox just for a moment regarding the design guidelines discussion. And I've broken that down as I discussed at the
Oh, yeah.
last meeting.
Perfect. I like it.
The objective design guidelines, or the objective design standards, which I'm identifying as A, and intentionally identifying that it is more important from a procedural standpoint than the general design guidelines citywide. And here's why. We have an obligation within the housing element to satisfy one of our programs. One of the programs talks about this objective design standards
Yeah.
piece
Yeah.
being implemented and approved by the city, which means it's going to come before this body, and then a recommendation is going to be sent to city council for approval. So that has to be done in order for us to stay in good graces with HCD and in compliance with our housing element. Not saying that our housing element would immediately fall out of compliance, but it's one of the check boxes that they look at each year. So I was able to identify in this one through our updates that it's come before this body a couple times. So I'm like, hey, we're moving the arrow in the direction of approval. We're making sure we've got all of our ducks in a row here.
Yeah.
Could we make this a 30-minute discussion and then move on to something else? Honestly, if we're not going to going to be making formal determinations and reviewing, I assume, consultant-produced analysis of what we should do by comparing the various solutions to this problem that others have found. And it's just a short item. Can we make the meat of the meeting some other item?
You're talking about when this comes before you at a future?
Well,
The
this,
joint meeting?
this is the joint meeting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Could we make a recommendation to our partners in the joint meeting that we're looking at here, that this is going to be a discussion for the purpose of setting up the calendar and discussing the process, but not a substantive
Yeah,
conversation?
it could be very simply identified as a procedural piece.
All right.
It's basically at the front of the line, but also recognizing that it's front of the line, low-hanging fruit, and we have a document that we're working on refining right now. So it's
But,
not like we're starting from scratch.
All right, but I'm
That was a
pointing
year
out,
ago.
we're not seeing a presentation that the community is then going to want to opine on. The only thing they'd opine on is the process we were using, but not the substance of what we're going to do.
Precisely.
So I guess I would say if, I will stop being snarky about the fact that you moved it from number 4 to number 1.
It was the last one.
I know, right. And I'll stop being snarky about that. If you say that it is given to the city council for discussion purposes, so they can look at this stack and say, yes, okay.
What's been nice is that we've already had this conversation twice.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've basically gone back to the drawing board, and then when I went back to the drawing board, I looked at what I presented the second time, and I was like, nope, we're starting over,
Okay.
right? Do you remember the very first time that we had a conversation regarding the objective design standards, I basically outlined 2 cities, one city that was fairly straightforward,
Yeah.
and one city that was fairly complex, right? And I was like, which one? And you're like,
Right.
I like this one, but we need to make it kind of the Ojai flair.
Right.
So
Right.
then we took some of that, folded it into, I would say, not a draft, but a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And even as I was looking at it, I was like, "Ugh, it doesn't feel right." And I basically took that, watered it up, and threw it in the trash, and we started over.
Oh, wow, okay.
But I would say that the start over was based on the context
Feedback.
and the conversations that we had here, and I think we're in a much better place.
Well,
I have confidence in that.
I do agree. I mean, it's a very important topic. I mean, it's extremely dry and
Oh,
boring.
yes. Look, sometimes we roll up our sleeves
no.
here, and I'm not going to
But
sit here and
it-
pretend
it
that some of
is
this is
something-
fun, but it's necessary.
It's necessary.
We do-
It is
we do the good work
absolutely
here, I think.
necessary. Yes,
Yeah.
it is absolutely
important to
necessary. I
identify
mean,
that.
it's critical considering, what we have in front of us with what the state is, doing with all cities throughout California. So this is one thing that we can put out there as a, precursor, so to speak.
Mhm.
And if I may, I would like to speak to this fire hardening, fire-wise community
Yep.
issue, which is a relatively new one in terms of the public discourse on what the solutions might be, particularly if you talk about undergrounding. And it's floating out there in the community as a possibility. That it may be something that we want with the city council to have a discussion around, so that we know that that's coming down. Parking and noise and sound are fairly prosaic titles and has to be done, and there's obviously some momentum behind that. We've not talked about that once. We've talked about it at every meeting, it seems. And we do need to drill down on that, but this fire hardening, fire-wise community and undergrounding of utilities is a relatively new and certainly urgent one that people are feeling.
Urgent, and I would say to a certain degree, a little complex.
Oh, it's very complex,
how it
very
operates.
complex. I
If we're
mean,
looking at these other ones, 1 and 2 have been mostly baked and discussed and worked on to a certain degree.
right,
Parking, we've already got existing studies,
right.
but I think it's good to go out and then check the temperature. And I think we're probably to that point again.
Do the existing studies include parking meters in any respect?
I don't know if they
I'm
have.
trying to remember if the second study talked about parking meters.
I don't
The first one didn't.
I don't think the second one did.
Yeah, the second one was more in like a PowerPoint presentation format.
I don't even know if I've seen the second one.
Yeah.
When was that done?
And do we have
I
a
think that was
current
done in
set of
2012?
target lots that if we wanted to expand public parking and create some way of paying for that, is there a set of lots that we think might be available?
What's interesting with a parking study is that you can bake in what you're looking for, and then the consultant ends up come back with those recommendations.
I mean, I like, if we can, I mean, parking it's a hot topic and it always gets derailed. But if we can come up with like workable strategies or solutions and get narrow on something that we can actually work towards, that would be great. Because we kind of talk about just general concepts and everyone gets, they usually go away with it and say, well, we're going to have to do additional studies, or we need another parking study, or we need another traffic study. And it's like, okay, how many traffic studies are we really going to get? Problem's not going to go away.
Well, and the important thing is if you're focusing the traffic study or really the parking study on specific pieces, like how do you fund it?
Yeah.
How do
yeah,
you
absolutely.
how do you marry an agreement with a private
Yeah.
owner?
Because depending on who
To
we
secure
get,
those
there's
types of-
some of those traffic studies are going to come back saying, well, there's no problem. You guys are fine.
Yeah, and I get the sense with the second one there wasn't a whole lot of direction because it felt pretty
Yeah.
light in terms of what everything's fine. There's not a parking
Yeah,
issue.
you have no problems.
Isn't part of the issue when parking comes before us to approve a new business and the requirements for parking that it might have? And it seems to me
Yes,
that in
that is
recent years,
Strategy.
there's been a big change in attitude about how many parking places should be required.
Yes, that is.
There
for
have
sure.
been articles that have been written that identify that we have a sea of parking and uses that don't use them,
Mhm.
right? So,
Like our last month's,
yeah.
or our last meetings.
Well, we
may I
do-
point out, the
Asia.
music festival has 1,400 people capacity, and it operates for 4 days. Everybody is worried about it, but the town absorbs, and probably 75%, 70% is coming from out of town. The town absorbs it, and you sort of say, "Oh, how did that happen?" And the same thing's happening, I think, with the movie theater. It's like, okay, 200 seats that had been not used, and now they're sort of heavily used, and
People know where to go.
they know where to go. The people in town do, and we drive down, 5 blocks away and park our car, and it's amazing how we manage to find something close by.
So,
I think,
But I just,
If we're focusing on just,
I'd like
the
to-
parking
yeah.
piece, I think there's a lot of, what I think we probably should do is kind of earmark it with, maybe the strategy should be a financial one. Because if we're talking about whether or not there's available parking in the downtown area, I've already got 2 studies that say that there's ample parking. I think really you end up shifting it into a narrative that we haven't explored.
but what is it that is irritating to people about the parking? And it is the availability of parking right out in front of the store they want to go to, or the
Yeah.
place they want to go, the
Oh, yeah,
restaurant they
it's
want to go to.
it's the
And,
arcade.
and that is something that you don't actually buy, you just have meters. And you know what happens when you have meters? The employees of those venues no longer park there because they're going to be there for 8 hours, and they can't go feed the meter.
Well, it's a conscious choice at that point. Are you
Yeah.
going to feed the meter every day?
Yeah.
if you get-
Well, you can also prohibit feeding the meter, you just say,
Limitations, sure.
yeah, so, but I'm just saying, that's the way to open up parking in town,
And there's opinions on both sides of that for sure.
Yeah.
and it's totally unpopular. I mean, I think I gotta pay for that?
Well, I think one of the things too is code enforcement has always been an issue. Like, we've never really had the bodies to go monitor, because I think
Chalk the
we
tires and
chalk the
see.
tires and,
Yeah,
and give out
yeah.
tickets. But I think those strategies I'd like to talk about. I'd like to talk about specifics, like, do we need to adjust the code? Do we need to look at the code and the parking requirements that are in the code? Do they need to be more flexible, or do they need to be more rigid? I don't know. We need to look at, do we need to look at making another public parking spot somewhere in town that's more visible? Do we have a financial way to do that? Do we have availability? And then code enforcement, for the existing parking that we do have and the time limits that we have. And then parking meters is another great idea,
Well,
right?
parking meters is a way to pay for the enforcement, so.
I mean, the city of Ventura has been struggling with parking meters for years now. People don't like it, but they still do it.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's here.
It's here.
Right.
We're good.
It's here, but I also like the direction
Just
that's going.
specifics.
So what I could do is take that parking and create an A, B, and C out of that.
I think
So
Judy's
that
ready to
we're
move.
not having a 10 or 15-minute conversation with council and trying to weave our way through it. We've already had that conversation. Those reports are already out. We're shifting into this narrative, right? I think there is something to be said about taking a closer look at the code.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
those standards do feel a bit out of date.
A little
and they need
archaic.
They need some study.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, I'm fine with putting design at first, because I know objective is very important, and we do need to go over our general design guidelines. It's come up a couple times with developments outside of our corridor.
I'm only putting it first because I think it's an easy one.
Yeah,
It can be discussed fairly quickly.
yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily get lost in the shuffle,
If
and
it-
then you move on to
if
the
it's
next.
procedural as opposed to substantive, then I think we should be able to move through it.
And then the fire hardening thing, I think, is another one that could go off the rails, so I think we need to be real clear on what we're talking about with that.
Oh, it'll go off the rails.
I know that fire-wise communities is something that's certainly doable, and it's not something that's a crazy expense. It's just a matter of coordinating the community and getting folks,
Well,
together.
but there's a fair amount of education in
There
that
is,
piece.
there
So
is.
the meeting is gonna be a lot of learning about what
Right.
all that
We
is.
have a lot of good resources here. We
The-
have Fire Safe Council, we've
Sure.
got some other,
But-
folks.
But this undergrounding
That is
is really,
that's a very big one,
that's a very big one, complicated, and, do you,
very expensive.
you do a tax-free bond and you amortize it over 30 years, and
There's
you give it to the water company and say, you manage it, be water and power, like they have in LA,
Could be like,
I mean-
we could be like LA, yeah.
Right.
What is it, DWP?
DWP, Department of Water and Power. So, I mean, there's nothing, everybody else is gonna be really expensive, and it is too bad that, Southern California has spent all this money on.
But we gotta remember, we're only 4 square miles.
I know, but there are neighborhoods where it's the ugliest 4 square miles on the planet. And,
Yes,
because
and the
of all-
most fire-prone,
Right.
with, built on top of each other.
I think it's also worth noting that it's 4 square miles, but there are areas that are already undergrounded. So it's
Yeah.
not like we're
Yeah.
we're starting from ground zero. We have some areas that we can.
Well, the main street of town and Golden West are all undergrounded.
And Persimmon as well, if I recall.
Oh, it's persimmon, okay, of course, yeah.
Okay. All right,
So-
well, I'm good with what we got. Again, just if we can with number 2 and number 3, just get more focused on solutions and strategy concepts, so it doesn't just go off.
I'll
the
tease out too in terms of the kind of the focus points. So we're not necessarily spending a lot of time on the background, and we're focusing on really, hey, these are the things that we think are wins here. Let's do
that'd
some
That'd
more
be
research.
Awesome. I
Okay.
love it. I love it. Okay, cool. Are we good with that one? Any more discussion?
How many of these do you think we'll be able to get through in a joint meeting?
Well, we have 2 hours, right?
No, you. Is that what?
we
Yeah,
have 2
so
hours.
Okay.
council at their last meeting passed an item in you're actually expected to go in the second quarter.
Okay.
So you're next.
Yep. So which is this quarter, April, May, June.
Yep.
Oh, very
That's
cool.
why we're doing this. So here's what I'm gonna do for the next meeting. I'll tease out these items more, and then hopefully I'll have a tentative date.
Thank you.
But has this list been given to the council? Is this so we're proposing it to the council and the council's saying yes or no, or?
Yeah, what'll end up happening is the chair will be meeting with the mayor, and then myself, and then obviously the city manager, and working
Work it
through the.
I mean, they could tell us to pound sand.
No, they wouldn't do that.
But there'll also be a,
Good, they could.
We have a council person here.
no,
Is it inappropriate
there'll
to
be a
ask him
staff
what
report
he
too.
thinks the council's gonna be
There will
interested?
be,
You can say,
there'll be
we
a
don't
staff
want to
report as
listen to
well.
your silly things. We're going to tell you what to do.
Okay.
Well, I think remaining focused, if you can, if you have any time on your hands, watch the joint meeting with HPC and City Council.
Oh, really?
That was probably one of the more efficiently run joint meetings that I've seen in my 5 years
Which one
here.
is this, Lucas?
Historic preservation.
Yeah.
It's on the 25th of March.
Was that the one was I there? Did we have that?
I don't think you were.
No, that was different. Okay, all right. 25th of March. All right, cool. So let's move on. Let's see, future agenda items.
Yes. So we have one public hearing, which is another lot line adjustment for 928 and 936 East Ojai Avenue. That's really kind of towards the end of Ojai Ave on the east end.
Okay.
The
Commercial?
Yeah, I just got word that it sounds like we're gonna have a second item as well that's gonna be ready to go. So you can expect 2 items on that meeting. I'm identifying May 21st for the Mallory Way bungalows as a tentative. I'm still waiting for full clearance before I can move it forward. I'm giving them the 21st, given the scenario, but they've got to be. I've got to have everything complete before we move forward. So it's tentative at this point.
Can you describe, because I'm trying to envision 928 and 936, have we looked at one of these lots before, the one that had the tank on it?
No,
No, that was Bryant.
that was on Bryant Street. Yeah.
No. What I'm thinking about is
That old water tank?
it's the rusty old tank that was
The
taken
water
off.
tank you're talking
Water
about
tank.
on
yeah, that
the
was
property.
No,
that-
that's not
Be
the
a bar-
site.
There was gonna be a bar on the
Further,
second floor.
further east than that.
Correct.
Right across the street from Seaford, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's still out there,
Correct.
Okay,
right?
so,
And where is this vis-à-vis that?
It's to the west. No, to the
east.
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 Sorry, to the east.
Is one of these buildings Tanya Peralta's offices out there?
I don't know who it.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'll just go look it up. I haven't.
All right, moving on.
There'll be a staff report. We'll cover it.
And then
Direct.
just letting you know for those next 2 meetings,
Yeah.
my colleague Adam will be at the May 7th meeting. I will be traveling that day and I'm not able to make it. I know,
We got to cancel.
thank you. That means so much to me. But he's, there's actually a city attorney conference. And so he's going to be attending virtually because a lot of my colleagues will be out of town also.
Okay.
And then Alex, who I believe that you know,
Yep.
he'll be here for the Mallory Way
Oh,
item.
good. Okay,
So,
cool. Yeah,
Yep.
he's a good guy. All right. Perfect. Director's report.
Wow.
Nothing to report at this point.
Okay. Commission member report. Anyone? I think our last meeting was canceled, right, for the BAB? Or the MAC, I mean?
Well, I've got a question. Let me just go
Not
back.
bad, Mac.
And are any of these items which are currently pending future agenda items, any of them likely to start moving fast and come onto the scene up
I would
there?
love to say yes. However, when we send stuff out for people to provide revisions, I can't tell you what the timeline is there.
I see. Well, we blame you for that, but it's really the
Hard work of
the
making sure these are complete
submission-
before they come to
submitters,
this body.
okay.
And we ask the hard questions at this point before they get to this point, so you can ask the hard questions of the applicants that are coming forward. So,
Good. That's good.
so you've got all the
And
material.
Do we care that a property that we approved a zone change on, it was a church, and there's no sign that it's being developed at this point in time, except on the weekends, they're running sales on this property. And it's in a residential block, but I think it may be VMU, I'm not sure. It's the old Christian, it's a Christian
not
Science
on the
church.
agenda. Cannot speak about it.
No, but my only question is, what's the appropriate venue for that?
Well,
That's
I
really,
would start with talking to Lucas offline.
yeah, we can't really talk about it.
I
Yeah.
understand, but it's a compliance issue. It's not really a plan.
Sounds like potentially a code enforcement issue that should be fleshed out by Lucas and the code team.
You,
All right, okay,
yes, yeah, after this.
all right.
Okay, cool. City Council Liaison, our esteemed Mr. Whitman. How you doing, sir?
Good. I have nothing to report.
That's amazing. I love it.
You guys did really well tonight.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thanks again for
Absolutely. Yeah,
your giving your time to the community.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for attending.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. You were the only one, well, other than our.
And what, I'll tell you, thanks goes a long way, so if you always end the meeting with a thank you, that's a,
Everybody just blew us off, even Bill.
yeah,
Yeah,
Bill.
he never came. All right, well, let's see. At, well, I know that clock is wrong, so at 6:50, we will officially adjourn the meeting. Ta-da! And I don't,
You won't
I
you
don't
won't
think
get
it-
to see me get my auto shot in 45 minutes.
She's like, let's go, let's go, let's go.